right, continue on with slope. With word problems now, everyone's favorite word problems. So the directions here say identify the average rate of change, which remember is slope, but for word problems, average rate of change usually makes more sense than saying slope. So that's why we have that word average rate of change, and just know that you need to be able to use them interchangeably. And the y-intercept for each description. So it says Tony is driving at a rate of 50 miles per hour away from home. So anytime you have like miles per hour or dollars per hour, something like that, that's going to be your rate. That's your rate of change. That's how in this case, how far away he's going to be at any different time. So the average rate of change is identified by the quantity showing the change in the given situation. In this case, 50 miles per hour represents the change. So our slope is 50. Our y-intercept is always our starting point, if you remember that. It's where we start when we graph. The y-intercept by definition is where it crosses the y-axis. In this case, home represents the starting point. Is assumed to be 0 miles into the trip. So therefore the y-intercept is 0, 0. So our slope, we can just say m equals 50. And notice how we label that as an ordered pair. It's always 0, comma, whatever, because it's going to not go left or right if it's on the y-axis. Same directions here. It says Bethany is 17 years old and has $4,000 in her savings account. Every year since her 5th birthday, she has added $150 to her account. So the average rate of change is how the account is changing. It says it's adding $150 in the account every year. So that's how the account is changing, $150, and we can write per year for every year. So it's dollars per year. To find the average rate, so then we have to find the y-intercept. So you could write slopes, do slopes, or we're trying to figure out how many years it has been. So to get from her 5th birthday to her 17th birthday, that would be 12 years. So we're taking the $150 per year times 12 years. And remember, this is really over 1. And anytime you multiply your units, anything on the top can cancel with anything on the bottom. So in this case, we have years on the top and years on the bottom. So those units of years cancel out. And we can ultimately just multiply $150 times 12, and that's how we get $1,800. So we subtract that from the current amount. So we take the 4,000 minus the 1,800 that was added over those 12 years, and 2,200 would be our starting amount. So she started her account with $2,200. So notice we have 150 as a slope, y-intercept of 0, 2,200. All right, try 1 and 2 on your own. All right, so for number 1, Tessa is 3 hours into her trip, currently has 12 gallons of gas in her car. The amount of gas in her tank has been decreasing at a rate of 12 gallons per hour. So gallons per hour, that's a note saying that's how it's changing. So our slope is negative 2 gallons for 1 hour. So just notice how I did make that negative 2 gallons because we're losing 2 gallons per hour. So our slope is m equals negative 2. In regards to the y-intercept, or how much we started with, she currently has 12 gallons in her car, and she is 3 hours into it. So we have to figure out how much she's used already. So she's using 2 gallons every hour times the 3 hours. That's 6. So she's already used 6 gallons. She has 12 to start. She has 12 currently. So we just add the 12 and 6 together to get 8. So our y-intercept is 0, 18. Oh, that should be 18. 0, 18. All right, and then last one. Steve has started with $1,400 in his account on his 12th birthday. On his 16th birthday, he has $800. Assume Steve spends the same amount of money each year. So the y-intercept is what he's starting out with. So he started out with $1,400. So 0, 1,400 is what our y-intercept is. So even though it's not his 0th birthday, it's his 12th birthday, that's what the account started with. Then what I did was I made ordered pairs. So 12th birthday, 1,400. I made that 0, 1,400. 16th birthday is $800. So again, I made this 0, 1,400 because that's what it started with. That's when the account started. And then you have to think, how many birthdays or years is it from its 12th to the 16th? That's 4. And then the account's valued at 800 on that time. So that's my X1, my Y1, my X2, and my Y2. So then I'm doing 800 minus 1,400, Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1, 4 minus 0. And that would give me negative 600 over 4, or a slope of negative $150. So that means he spends, and since it's negative, he spends $150 each year. And there is my work for that. Sorry about that.